Sutras 212 to 214. The last week we talked about the kleshas, the 5 veils, the 5 afflictions that hold us from remembering our divinity. And tonight we'll talk about karma and karma yoga. As you sow, so you shall reap. Maybe. All right, so we'll think of these like karma is like seeds. I like how Nishtala Joy Devi talks about this in terms of seeds. And we can think of the soil, like the kleshas are our attachments, our aversions, our fear of change, our labels, and our ignorance that we're divine beings. That's the soil that the actions, the seeds get planted in. And then the storehouse, like where the seeds are stored, are the karmasaya. Think of like, okay, we've got all these seeds that are ready to be planted or could be planted. They're living in this storehouse. And the fruit is the life experiences that happen as a result of these seeds that were in the storehouse that got planted in the experience of this human existence and then sprouted. Does that make sense? So we tend to polarize karma into good or bad. You know, like electricity, it is neither good or bad. Its effect depends on how we treat it. So managing our karma is like tending to a garden. So it's like, that's what you're doing in this training is you're getting present to the flowers in your life as well as the weeds in your life. And like deciding, do I pull these weeds? Or sometimes even, we just planted a bunch of wildflower seeds with the kids and I would just like dumped them in a pot. And it's like, no, we have to pull some of them because they can't grow that close together. The flowers can't grow that close together. So we have to pull some of them. And so it's like, oh no, that's not good or bad. It's just like, there's not space for this thing. And so learning to manage it like we would a garden, managing our karma. Sutra 212. So we're just talking about 3 sutras tonight. The seeds of karma, the karmic storehouse, karmasaya, rooted in the mental afflictions, the kleshas, will bear fruit in this life or in future lives. So in yoga, it's the belief is that like basically if we don't learn it now, we'll have to learn it later. So do you want to push it off and learn it later? Or you want to learn it now? So whatever we're storing, like the seeds are just there, and then we have our resistance, our attachments, our labels, our ignorance, and our fear of change are what's going to bear the fruit in our life. So we get to be intentional with it or not. We can just go wild if we, not go wild, go crazy if we don't manage it intentionally. So again, karmasaya is the repository of our actions and our impressions. So what we do now plants seeds or turns into seeds for future. And there's also seeds from the past there, created through karma influenced by the kleshas. They shape our future birth, our future experience, our future lifespan. And they're stored below the surface of conscious awareness. So we just don't even know it. Like, why do I do that thing? Oh yeah, that thing that happened when I was 5 years old. Like we didn't even realize it was running the show. That's karma from the past. And if you want to blame it on previous lifetimes, I, have worked with several woo-woo people in the past, and they're like, I understand you, like Bishop literally said, I understand you feel like this happened in your previous life, but can we just deal with this life? Like there's enough to deal with this life, so let's focus here. I'm like, okay. But it feels less like my ego is more at peace, feeling like I can blame it on a previous version of myself instead of the current version of myself. In Sutra 213, karma bears fruit. As long as the root of karma exists, it will ripen and result in birth, lifespan, and life experiences. Who's ever tried to pull a dandelion? Like you just pull the top off it's going to keep growing. You feel like you get a good chunk of the roots. It's still growing back. Like those dandelion roots go deep. Well, you got to get and that's a little bit what some of you have experienced over the last couple of months, right? When we talked about being in the mushy, it's like, why can't I get this right? It's like, no, the roots run deep. And that's where you can give yourself grace too. Like, this has been a long time. I've had this habit a long time. I've been experiencing this a long time. So we got to go deep to get it unrooted. The key points of this sutra are our past actions shape our birth circumstances, our lifespan, and our experiences of pleasure and or pain. Karma influences where and how we live our lives. And that I'm just laughing right now because Isaac woke up at 5 a.m. this morning. He just got back from Florida with his grandparents. And so he was up at 5 yesterday and 5 again today. And so we had a rough start to the day. And when he's tired, he acts just like his bio dad. And when I'm tired, I act like the worst version of myself. And it just like felt like I've just been thinking about it in terms of like, I left Russ, his bio dad, because I didn't want these behaviors in my life. And yet this child that I love with my whole being is so much light. And so it's like, oh no. And it just feels very ironic that today we're talking about karma because I'm like, oh, this is karmic. This is karmic. Like, I either asked for this or, right? And again, not that I did something bad. There were just actions in the past, whether this life or a previous life, that need to be resolved. And it's like, it's game time. Game time for yoga. I think I've given you the metaphor. We practice soccer for the game of soccer. We practice piano lessons for the piano recital. We practice yoga for the game of life. Like, this is game time. This is the time to use these tools. And so, yeah, essentially, whatever seeds I planted unintentionally, here we are, getting to learn from it. Sutra 214, suffering or joy. The fruits of our actions bring pleasure or pain depending on whether the action was virtuous or not. The fruits of our actions bring pleasure or pain depending on whether the action was virtuous or not. So the key points are: actions driven by clarity equal pleasure. Actions driven by ignorance equal suffering. It encourages mindful action and self-awareness. And it's like, you can't unsee it. Like I talked about in the meditation, the should spiral, the shame spiral is like just creating more future suffering. So the sooner we can plug that hole and deal with it and address it with compassion, with ahimsa and truthfulness, the more happy life we will have. So the sutras only talk about the karma in terms of like the seeds and the storehouse. The Bhagavad Gita, the other text, not the other, there's so many texts for yoga, but a major one, dives deeper. There's whole chapters 2 through 5 are completely dedicated to the topic of karma and karma yoga. And so I wanted to bring them forward today because we're not reading that book in this training, but you will if you continue your studies of yoga. So the 3 types of karma as referenced in the Bhagavad Gita is the stored karma, the collection of all past karmas that have not yet sprouted. So the karmas that are still in the storehouse. These seeds are held in karmasaya or karma storage and may or may not sprout. This concept kind of aligns with Sutra 212, which speaks of the storehouse. Then there's the already sprouting karma, the portion of karma that has already started to bear fruit in our lives. And it's responsible for the current life circumstances, the family we were birthed into, the body we were birthed into, the demeanors we were born into. And this one's most related to Sutra 213, which talks about how karma manifests as birth, lifespan, and experiences. And then in the Gita, they talk about agami karma, future karma that's currently being created. The karma we're currently generating through our present actions. These actions can affect future lives, not just this current life, and they can become part of our future storehouse. So we're planting seeds, not planting them, we're creating seeds that may be planted later if we're not aware of it. And this could be linked, it's good link, could be linked to Sutra 214, where virtuous or unvirtuous actions lead to suffering or joy. So it really just changes the perspective for me. Like I want to interrupt this now. Because this is actually the only karma we have control over, is the future karma. The karma that we're creating right now. Because we can't undo what's already been planted. We can keep some of them from being planted, but we can't undo what's already been created. But it's like we can alter our future, essentially. The gunas in karma, Nishtala brings this up in this chapter. While not specifically mentioned in these sutras, the gunas influence the quality of our actions. So we've got tamas, or inertia or ignorance actions rooted in confusion, apathy, or fear. They tend to create darker karmas. We've got rajas, the activity, the passion, actions driven by desire, ambition, and ego. Can create mixed, could be good or bad, depending on how we want to see it. And then we can also create sattvic karmas, balanced, clarity, purity, actions guided from wisdom, compassion. Generally will bring us lighter, more liberating experiences of karma. And these actions, these karmas leave impressions or samskaras that we've talked a lot about, the samskaras, the ruts, not necessarily ruts, but the grooves, the habitual patterns, whether they're habits of health or habits of destruction that get stored in our karmasaya. And the more tamasic or rajasic karmas are the more likely they are to cause suffering. All pretty straightforward. So karma yoga, the yoga of action, is the path of selfless action. Again, they don't talk about this in the Yoga Sutras, but it's in the Bhagavad Gita. Acting without attachment to the fruits of your labor. Phew, the ego might find this one a little bit tricky. It's like, no, but I did the hard work. Now, give me the gold star. The key teaching of this part of the Bhagavad Gita is that you have the right to act, but you don't have but not to the fruits of your actions. You have the right to act, but not to the fruits of your actions. That might require some exhaling, some letting go, especially for the achievers in the house like me. So the core principles of karma yoga are act with intention, not expectation. Offer your actions as service to something greater. Detach from outcome, but not from effort. Let go of ego and let Dharma guide you. Dharma meaning purpose. These are all like bumper stickers. Whoever's got the bumper sticker business, here you go. Act with intention, not expectation. Offer your actions as service to something bigger. Detach from outcome, but not from effort. Let go of ego and let the Dharma guide you. So bringing them back to these three sutras, 212 to 214, karma yoga purifies the karma storehouse. It helps us act from sattva, clarity, rather than rajas or tamas. We learn to take purposeful, present-centered actions, creating more liberating karmic seeds. Kind of like what we talked about last week. Are we moving toward or are we running from? bringing that energy of toward energy and moving toward this. And then before you act, ask yourself, is this coming from ego or from service? Am I trying to control the result? The answer is probably yes. If I were to answer it for myself. Yeah, the reminder constantly, let go of control, do the work and trust the process. Can I let go and trust the process? A lot of good nuggets on this one. Do you guys have access to this full presentation, all the sutras in your Google Classroom in the links section? So last slide on karma. Do your chores with love. Wash the dishes or sweep the floor, not as a burden, but as a way to care for your space and those you share it with. Remember, we can only control ourselves, not everybody else that lives in the house with us. But I guess you could put these up on the refrigerator. Have a group chat about it. Parent with presence. Change the diaper, answer the question for the 100th time, be fully there without resentment or rush. Serve someone without needing credit. Offer support, encouragement, or a kind gesture anonymously or without expectation of acknowledgement. In my dorm in college, we had a random acts of kindness. Like it was I can't remember what the item was, but like somebody would fold somebody's laundry in the dryer and leave the random act of kindness thing on it. And then within a week, you were supposed to pay it forward. It was such a beautiful, like it made my day anytime I received it. So give your best at work, even when no one's watching. Let your integrity shine, regardless of praise, raise, or recognition. Practice compassion in hard moments. When someone's rude or reactive, choose not to match their energy. Stay rooted in your higher self. Make meals with gratitude, cook or eat as an offering. Remember the hands that helped grow, transport, and prepare your food. These are all just so lovely, such lovely reminders of what's possible. Any questions or thoughts on those?